everybody, welcome back. The Thanksgiving edition of Joppa Afternoon Drive, live from Drew's house. My name is Drew Moholland. Happy holidays to you and yours. We are joined, as we have been the last couple Thanksgivings. He's nice enough to give us some time out of his busy schedule. Mike Lynch joins us. How are you, Mike?
Hi, Drew, and hi, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving. All my good friends up in the Newburyport area.
I noticed right off the bat, repping the Swampscott Big Blue right in the face of
Had to do it. Pride, the Thanksgiving Day is a special day, and that's what everybody acts like they're 17 years old again. So that's me. It was hanging on the part of my little prop here, my little Zoom studio developed over the years. So I took it off the hanger and said, I'm going to go with the Big Blue today for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk about a bunch of things with you. Let's get it right out of the way, though. I know you wanted to notify a bunch of people that the show is not going to be happening this Thanksgiving. I know it's no secret, so I know you're probably not thrilled about it. But what's the deal?
Yeah, they're going to take all their resources and put it into the newscast from 5 o'clock until 7:30. And I understand. I spoke with the news director and she explained what they were doing. And things happen. Things change over the years. Personally, of course, I'm disappointed because I really enjoy it, and I thought that this year would be a great year to have it, especially because of last year with COVID and the kids missed out on the opportunity. Not just the players, but we've had this conversation: the cheerleaders, the band, the pep squad, the parents, volunteers, the people who run the concession stands, everybody. It's that last level of competition where everybody's a participant. You get to college and it's just the players and you don't have the townspeople. So yeah, it's so they're gonna they'll do a great job. They got some great people there, and everything's gonna be fine.
It must make you feel pretty good, though. As soon as that announcement was made, my Twitter timeline started erupting with people that said, "You can't do this to me. This is a Thanksgiving tradition. This is and some meaner comments than that. But that must make you feel pretty good that people cared about it so much and it was a part of their lives.
I had no idea that we touched and reached so many people. The response was overwhelming. And, it was just, I just answered a few questions from some reporters. I had no intention of, offending or embarrassing Channel 5. And, and some of the comments were just like over the top. Thank you very much. But listen, don't be too mad. I mean, things happen and things change. But yeah, it was kind of nice. I said, I never knew that when I was actually actively broadcasting every single night, because I'm sort of, I would feel it when I get into Fenway or the Garden or down to Foxborough and get out and interact with people. But that was pretty gratifying. Yeah.
You must have had some sense, though, because I remember even when I was in high school, I remember you came to one of our games back in the day, and I was a young high school Drew in the stands, and people started, cheering when you would show up because they knew, oh, we're the game of the day. All right.
Yeah, that was it was kind of nice because when you walk into a professional ballpark or professional locker room, you sort of run the other way and hide in the trainers room. When you show up at a high school game, it's people are actually happy to see you. They clap. They sometimes hand me a hooded sweatshirt or some souvenir for you were at Danvers. And I do have a nice little quarter zip up from the Danvers. It's got a little falcon on the crest right there. So yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
Absolutely. They're having a little tough time in my hometown of Danvers right now.
Yeah, there's some bad things going on there, but this is a happy show, so we're going to talk about happy things.
Well said.
It's happy Thanksgiving, not bummer Thanksgiving, right?
Well said, Mike. Well said. All right, we'll keep it going. So anyway, what are you going to do here for the Thanksgiving Day? I know you obviously must have a little extra time. You put it all into family, or you start cooking a little more? What's the deal?
I can't cook anything. I can cook a hamburger or a hot dog on the grill, and that's the extent I can microwave things. That's the extent of my culinary skills. I'm going to go to my alma mater. It's going to be an unbelievable game. Swampscott is at home playing against Marblehead. Both teams are 11-0. And in the 120-odd year history, never before has both teams come into the game undefeated.
Is that right?
Never. Yeah, hard to believe. One team has, either Marblehead or Swampscott has come in unbeaten, but never with two of them. So it's 11-0, and this is really going to be quite a game. I'm going to have to get up early and drive up there, and then I'll go visit my mom afterwards and spend some time with her if I get out of the field, because you know how those games are. You see someone and then you get ready to leave and you bump into somebody you haven't seen in 5 years. So
Yep.
usually, the post-game conversations take longer than the game. And I go see my mom, and then I'll shoot home, and I'm going to my daughter's house for Thanksgiving. So I won't have to, you know, usually I grab a turkey sandwich on the way back and on the way into the station, and I'm there leave the house at 8, quick 1 or 2 o'clock, and then in the station at 3 o'clock, and there till midnight.
We might cover some ground we've done before here, but I do just remind me, how did this all start? You being kind of the high school football coverage guy, because I mean, it wasn't something that was definitely not easy. It's a little bit easier, I guess, now maybe with Twitter for scores and stuff. But you've told me some great stories about how you used to have to get the scores back in the day and all this weird stuff.
Well, I think I don't know the exact year. We started it like in the 80s. And, when I first got the job at Channel 5, I would go to every Rotary Club, Kiwanis Club, luncheon, because I was almost like running for office. I wanted people to know who I was, and I wanted to get their feedback. And the number one question asked was, why don't you do more in high school sports? So we developed this weekly high five thing. And then when we got to Thanksgiving, we always, we'd show some highlights and then run the scoreboard forever and ever. It takes about 3 minutes to get through all the cities and towns and schools. And then one year I said, geez, I really wish I could just do this from my house, and I always kind of, once I'm in the station, I'm great. But when I'm driving by all the houses that have 10 or 15 cars out in front, and I'm all by myself, I said, I'm kind of lonely here. I really wish I could do it from my family room. So they went and got a big easy chair. I think they made a deal with Jordan's Furniture. And then they started putting things, they put a piece of pie next to me. Then I put the pictures of my 3 daughters at the time. They were in elementary school next to me, and maybe like a sweatshirt or 2 behind me. And over the years, it started to grow. People at the station say, I was in the band at Melrose High School. So, there's a drum majorette's hat would be behind me. And then somebody else said, I was a cheerleader at Stoneham. And then there's a big megaphone behind me. So, and then we started covering the games. Some of the challenges early were all the games were on videotape, VHS. And you had to physically get the tapes. So we would call up like North Attleboro, we'd call up Leominster, we might call Newburyport and Amesbury, we had a little dog barking here, huh?
Yeah, that's Mookie, named after
Mookie. All right, I love it.
Fantastic outfielder. He's not used to me doing shows at this time of day, but continue on, sorry.
So the only businesses that were open on Thanksgiving Day were the police department and the fire department. So the cable companies would leave them there, and we'd get an intern to drive around. He must have put 300 miles on his car one day, and pick all the tapes up, bring them in, and then we got to go through the tapes and get some highlights. And then we say, oh shoot, we don't have a program here. Who's number 33? So we call the fire department back. 33, yeah, that's Drew Moholland. No, I think it's Mike Lynch. No, he's number 32. And so we would say, all right, what do we feel good with here? Let's do we speak generically, or do we risk getting a name? And one funny story involves your alma mater. So I don't know what year it was. I came back up to the sports office, and at the end we roll the scores with Mr. Touchdown. And invariably, it's so hectic getting it in. Sometimes just human error, they get the score upside down. So my dad calls me, who was the athletic director at Danvers at the time. And he says, Mike, great show. Hey, thanks, Dad. He says, but he got one score wrong. And I said, what was that? He says, our score. We beat Gloucester 6-0. You had Gloucester 6, Danvers 0. And it was the only game we won all year.
Oh, my goodness. That is a mistake I'm sure you heard about for a very long time.
I did. I heard
It is hard, though. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, it is. But of all scores, my father's team, Danvers, and your team.
Yeah, in Gloucester in those years, man, they were doing a lot of winning too. Unfortunately,
they were good. They were good. And they traveled well too.
Yes, they did. Yes, they heard a bunch of Thanksgiving mornings for a lot of. Although by the time they steadied the ship. By the time I went through there, we had some nice little programs. So it's become a good actual rivalry over the years. But it's neither here nor there. When you talk about going to these games and kind of being a part of it, I know we talked about last year during the pandemic, you felt like something was literally missing from you, like just not having a high school game to go to. It is nicer to see this kind of start to be a more normal year, right?
And I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that stadiums are going to have more people at the games this year because we missed it last year. And it really is a fun day because, I always give my sister and her girlfriends, they were class of 77 at Swampscott. And I'd walk by them like in the middle of the game, and 7 of them have their back to the field. And I said to Mara, my sister, I said, "What's the score?" I don't know. They had no idea. They're just down there, just chit-chatting away. And then you'll see, guys from different classes all the time. And that's one of the nice parts about the game. And, a lot of people get together before the game. They go to someone's house and, have refreshments before the game. And then before they go their way for turkey dinner, they might stop by somebody's house for a glass of apple cider and get on their way. But it's such a fun day. And I've been to so many, cities and towns over the more than 30 years doing the games, and I had great visit to Newburyport about 6 years ago, and it was the game. Every year I get to pick which game I go to, and it's almost become, people would solicit, "Hey, listen, Mike, you should come to Danvers Gloucester because, hey, Mike, you should come to." So I got a lot of people that are telling me that in 2015 I should come up to Newburyport, and I had an old quarterback, Larry Russell, called me, and then I got an email from a woman who works at the bank, Mary Ann Clancy at Institution for Savings, and said, we paid for the part of the AstroTurf. The field has just been renovated, and I'm going, okay, yep, I've heard this story before, and we're dedicating the field to Jim Stalin, the legendary coach. And I said, sold. Because I knew Jim Stalin when I was 7 years old. It's a water boy. My dad was a coach at Swampscott. Jim was at Natick. Then he came to Newburyport, and he and my dad became great friends. What a classy guy he is. And so this is perfect. So I drove up to Newburyport, and I went to go find a place to park. There's 2 orange cones out there. So reserved for Mike Lynch, reserved for Mike Lynch's cameraman. And he thought that was great. And we had little bags of like an apple, a bottle of water, and some trail mix in them. And I said, "Why aren't we coming here every single year?" The cameraman said, "This is perfect." So I get out of the car, and I met Mary Ann Clancy, and 2 seconds later, Jim Stalin pulls in with his wife, Beverly. And "Hey, Coach, how you doing?" So I get down to go on the field, and I meet a guy, Charlie Cullen and Bino Arabino, and they said, "Look down the end of the field. There's these big nets in front of the houses." And they say, we call them the Mike Lynch nets, because when I was a senior, I kicked the ball through a window down there. So, and then we get on the field, and I got a commemorative coin. I did a nice interview with Coach Stalin, and I thought that would be the story of the day. Well, the game goes to double overtime. It's the thriller. I mean, it's just, Newburyport, Amesbury, Newburyport, Amesbury. And Newburyport won. They stopped Amesbury on a 2-point conversion and just bedlam on the field. Then they have this huge trophy they give to the winner, and the gentleman who was presenting it was in the middle of being treated for ALS. And just to have him speak, and just say, "We present the trophy to the Newburyport Clippers," had tears coming down your eyes. Then I get down so now I got to get this into the story. Now we get down the end of the field, and Eddie Gaudiano, the coach, is down there, and he gathers the team around, and my cameraman's rolling. He announces this was his last game. He's retiring. So I said, how do I get all these facets into a 2-minute piece? But it was a memorable trip, and one of my favorite Thanksgivings of all time. And then 2 years ago, the last time we did this show, I remember this. You guys in your cable outfit was so kind to us. I said, I'm looking for the coin toss. I'm looking for one shot on the bench and maybe a touchdown or 2. So that year, one of the greatest Clippers of all time, Kevin Sullivan, had died suddenly. And he won number 22. So it was a tradition. When they came out for the coin toss, the captains brought out the number 22 jersey, which really says all it is about Thanksgiving. It's about family. Kevin Sullivan played in the 70s, but he's still part of the Newburyport family. And his family was at the game. So I got that shot. And then the captain runs over to the bench, and he folds it nice and neat so it stays on the bench, number 22. Newburyport scored 2 touchdowns. They sent me highlights of 2 touchdowns, and you people did. And I got a nice email from Kevin Sullivan's wife, Ellen Sullivan, said, "Thank you so much for remembering my husband." And I was doing the highlights. I said, "And look at this guy. This would make Kevin Sullivan proud. And he's running on Jim Stalin Field, who coached Kevin Sullivan back in the 1970s." And she said, "I play it all the time." And years later, she sent me another email. I play it all the time. And I was at a golf tournament this summer, and his son, Sean Sullivan, just came up to me. I never met him before. And Sean said to me, I want to thank you for what you did for my dad. He says, it meant so much to my family. You know, my mom watches it all the time, and we miss him terribly, but it gives us great comfort. And it was what a great connection it was. And that's really what Thanksgiving is. These Thanksgiving games are all about. You know, it's not about that score 22-6. It's about, you know, just reliving memories and just smiling for 2.5 or 3 hours. You know, even if you're remembering somebody that's no longer with us. So those are my great memories of, you know, the 2 times I interacted with Newburyport during Thanksgiving, and I'll never forget them. I'll never forget them.
I get chills just hearing that story, man, about family members.
You know, this was at a golf tournament this summer, and it's nice. Sean comes up to me and just, you know, and he said, "Hey, can I buy you a beer?" I said, "Sure." And then we talked a little bit about his dad. I knew who his dad was. I knew some guys that played with him at UMass. But, you know, he also wore number 22, which was worn by a guy named Ken Ladd, who played against me. And it was worn by Larry Russell, who was a great quarterback in the 1960s. And you know, and you people made it happen. You got the video for us. And somehow was sent to Dropbox or my email address or something. And, you know, 2 or 3 people had to spend an extra hour away from their family from your cable your outfit to get it for us. But look what it did for this. It's presented a lifetime of memories for the Sullivan family.
Unbelievable. And it was not me, folks. Let me tell you, I had the easy part of this show. Tyler Neufeld, Sarah Hayden,
Yes.
Caleb Noble.
Yes.
Those big 3. I think they probably had a hand in it.
They all those people did have a hand in it. And so thank you very much. You made the Sullivan's family's Thanksgiving.
Unbelievable. Well, yeah, take that one, guys, when you're probably going to be working long hours again this Thanksgiving, if I had to guess. With high school football, the cable TVs are always running on the holidays. You know, you mentioned James Stalin there, man, who I have a lot of respect for as well. He's been lucky enough to have him in the studio here in recent years. He comes in and hangs out for a little bit. And, you know, one thing that amazes me about him, and you have a little bit of this too, actually. I can tell just you pull out some names that I'm like, how does he remember this? He has players that he remembers from 30 years ago that, you know, well, you know, he ran that ball on 2nd and 2, which was a big play in that game. He got 11 yards. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you remember that Nick did that? And like, it's the memory on that guy was incredible. And it strikes me every time I have him in studio. I mean, I can't remember what I had for breakfast today, but this guy's remembering plays from games, little details, and it just amazes me.
I went to this summer about 4 times a year. His players from all years that he coached there, over 20 years, they go to the park lunch, and they just have a little informal get together, and they just tell stories, and they just, you know, get reacquainted. And one of his players, Bino Arabino, who greeted me that day, had to have both of his legs amputated, and he wheeled himself in. You know, how you doing, Bino? I'm doing great. And coach went over and just wheeled him right up to the table, and they were serving beers and soda and pizza, and all these guys were there. And I said, "Oh, this is Eddie O'Barra." And I said, "I think he wore number 42." And coach goes, "No, he was number 40. Number 42 was Eddie Smith." And I said, "Geez, he's 89 years old." And he is, and this was so great. You could just feel the love and respect in that room. There might have been 20 guys there. And they, for some reason, they asked me to come up because Swampscott was always the game before Thanksgiving. Swampscott and Newburyport met. And there was a 5-year stretch where both teams were undefeated coming into that game. We'd go up to Newburyport, 20,000 people. Next year down in Swampscott, 25 busloads of Newburyport people would come down. Concession stand was wiped out by the end of the first quarter. And whenever you played the Newburyport teams coached by Jim Stalin, I'm sure Eddie Gaudiano and now Ben Smolsky, hit you hard, but, you know, pick you up and help you up, you know, look you in the eye. No dirty, cheap shots, no trash talking. And that was a sign of a Jim Stalin football team. And he was a great leader. He was a great quarterback himself when he was in college. And his players all reflected his personality. They were gentlemen. They all went on successful lives, and they're still tethered to him to this very day.
Great story. Again, Mike Lynch joining us here, our Thanksgiving show, talking a little bit of football. Do you happen to know the name, Mike? I'm not sure if you bumped into him during the games. Richie Eaton of Newburyport.
Yes. Yeah.
So he has a great Thanksgiving story that he's told here on this show, so I'll repeat it. I bet it's a good way to talk about how people connect with Thanksgiving, though. He has missed now, he had missed one Thanksgiving game like decades ago because he had a medical issue that he couldn't make it. And he goes, I remember not being able to go to that football game. And he goes, I cried, Drew. I cried because I could not go to the football game. And I thought about him last year during the pandemic too. And of course there was no Thanksgiving football, and just these people that make it, like you said, it's more than a game. It's an event. It's a community event. And I think for so many people, like you said, I bet you do see record crowds here on this Thanksgiving. I bet you do.
I think you will. I mean, part of Thanksgiving, the MIA has sort of altered the importance of Thanksgiving games, but I think this year no one's going to really care. They're going to come back in because this is going to be everyone's coming out party. I'm busting out of the COVID cave that I've been in for a long time, and I'm going to get down and see Swampscott High School. I don't care if I remember one play of the game. I'm going to get out and just make sure I see some of my classmates, some of my friends, and I want to be part of it. And that's what's going to happen all around the region. I mean, it's more than 1 million people go out and watch games on Thanksgiving Day, and it's, if you're a player, you'll never forget your Thanksgiving Day game. I know that when I was in high school, it was only 3 years, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade. Sophomore year, we won 40-0. Junior year, we won 15-14. Senior year, we won 31-7. Now, I couldn't tell you the score of the Danvers game or the Gloucester game or the Winthrop game, but I can tell you the Marblehead Swampscott every time.
I noticed you didn't flip those scores around. You had those pretty strong.
those we made sure I got right. I always double check the Swampscott score.
Oh man, that's too funny. So I have a final couple minutes here with Mike Lynch. Actually, Mike, we'll take 2 more minutes here. I'm just going to let Henry out because that's the other dog, and he's apparently not happy either.
He's got to go. Henry's got to go. Go ahead.
One moment. So yeah, I get in the habit of taking the dogs out right when I get home, and if you change it up on them at all, they get very frustrated.
You can't do that. Yep.
But they love football too, so they're getting ready for a big day of Thanksgiving. But yes, and I mean it's such a great day, and you were talking about how you'll be hanging out at Swampscott, and I mean I used to actually struggle I used to like the games. I'm a sports guy, and I would sometimes actually struggle to watch the games because you're meeting people you haven't seen in ages.
Yeah. And there's no replay. So I was at the Dover Sherborne game in Swampscott, and one Billy Leone, whose brother Joey Leone, I think, owns the Black Cow. And so he was over sitting next to me, and I turned like this, and Swampscott scored a touchdown down there. And I said, "What happened?" They said, "Oh, number 2 just scored a touchdown." I said, don't ask me any more questions. I got to be locked into the game. So you don't have a Jumbotron to look at I missed that play or replay. There's nothing. You got to pay attention.
It is true. Although some of these high school facilities are getting beautiful these days. I'm waiting for Jumbotrons and stuff. Oh man. What is the, I think I asked you this last time. Remind us, what's the best Thanksgiving game you ever watched?
I think that Salem and Beverly one year, I want to say it was 93 or 94. The winner of the game went to the Super Bowl. Beverly scored with about 55 seconds to go. Salem got the ball on their own 20-yard line, came all the way down to the Beverly 2-yard line, and there were 4 seconds to go. And 4th down, and they scored, and the place went crazy, and they won the Northeast Conference title, and they went to the Super Bowl. And that was the year, I think, that the Salem teachers had a strike, and Ken Perone, the coach, kept playing football and practicing. And the athletic director and the police department superintendent came down. They had a cease and desist order for him. It was on Halloween days, by the way, practice. And they kept going, and they won that game. They went to the Super Bowl and lost, and the entire coaching staff got fired after the game.
Oh, my goodness.
Because they were practicing during the teacher strike.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty gratifying for a lot of kids. There were a lot of tears that day and a lot of emotion. And it was a classic example of adults messing things up for the kids.
There's enough of that to go around, right?
Yeah. But this is a happy show. This is a happy Thanksgiving show, right?
Yeah, I won't venture there at all. I remember that one of my buddy I just had dinner with the other night was here. He's I'm not sure if he played quarterback. Chris Small for Danvers, and I remember when I was going through my senior year. I guess that was our junior year, but he was the quarterback, and Danvers had always struggled with Gloucester for many years. It was, even when Danvers was good, it was tough to get over Gloucester. And he said to me the night before, I remember, he goes, "We're going to win. we're going to win this year. I mean, they're good again. And the winner won the NEC at the time. It still is. And he said to me, and that day, I don't know if you remember this, but it snowed like crazy.
Yes.
They had to bring a helicopter down.
Yep. Yep.
On the, and I remember thinking, I live near the airport in Danvers, Beverly Airport, and I see a helicopter like towards the football field. I'm going, were we bringing people in from helicopter? And I realized they were trying to like kick the snow out using the helicopter blades. I was like, my goodness, this is going to be an epic game. And so they cleared the field, snowbanks all around, and Danvers won at the end. And my buddy Chris, he said, I told you.
Right.
Yeah. Finally got awesome.
Anything can happen on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, the rush of emotion. I mean, you can't eat. When you wake up in the morning, your mother usually is making you a breakfast or something. You can't eat. I mean, it could be pancakes, bacon, and eggs. You have butterflies are going like crazy. You just can't wait to get down there. And no one talks. You get your ankles taped, you get dressed, and no one just says a word because everybody's quiet. Everyone's thinking, well, what's my assignment on this play? What's my assignment on that play? And there's just it's a calming silence. So that means everyone's focused and concentrating. And then all of a sudden the coach starts talking and he gets you revved up and you go out for the pregame warm-ups, then you come back in. And then I swear, when you run out there, you feel like there's 110,000 people out there. There might be 8,000, but it looks and feels like 110,000 people. And it's one of the great feelings of all time. And then they play the national anthem. Your heart's pounding through your chest. You can't wait for the game to get underway. And boom, and then the game goes really fast. But the buildup seems like it takes forever. It's like, the train that goes up, I think I can. Once the game starts, boom, it goes by really fast.
See, you're going all Jim Stalin on me. I can tell you remember every moment of that. That is funny. It puts you right back there. And, that's why it hit us so hard last year with the seniors, right? Because you remember senior year being out there. And it's such a great moment. You're with the other seniors. This is your final time you're taking the field. And it's so nice for this group to get that because I can't wait to see the stories and the faces. Favorite Thanksgiving meal? Part of the meal, I should say.
You got to go with green bean casserole. You got to go with squash and stuffing.
Pretty solid. Old reliables.
Yeah. Good staples, I would call them, right? Probably staples.
Staples of the Thanksgiving meal. I like that.
I would say, but that's good.
I'm sure you're even still you're going to be doing like research on these games still, even though you'll be at Swampscott.
Well, I was doing a lot of research until my research, wasn't required, but I'm gonna lock in on the Swampscott game. I've seen them play 3 times now in person, and I'm gonna lock in on them.
This might be. I know you might find a. You know what? I don't have to. I'm gonna take in every play of this game. It might be kind of nice.
I'm not turning my head sideways with anybody either. If anyone wants to talk to me, I'm not going to be turning and looking at them.
All questions can be answered at another time.
Submit written questions.
Very good. Well, Mike, I know personally I will miss seeing you in the on the show later on Thanksgiving. I know so much of my family will. I know my dad is very upset about it. He's voiced his opinion as
a lot of people are. Jim Stalin sent me a text message yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, very upset about it. Yep.
How's he doing? All right.
He's doing great. Doing great. Yep. He'll probably be at the game, the game this year, and he's one of the all-time greats. And hello to all my good friends up in Newburyport, and thank you for making me feel so welcome that day that I was there with my cameraman Steve Menard. I still have my little Institution for Savings lunch bag, and it's great. So great hospitality and great friends, and Newburyport never disappoints.
You got a lot of friends up here, even with that Swampscott Big Blue shirt going on.
I'm sorry about breaking the window. It's the pink house on the hill behind the goalpost. Sorry about that. I broke that in 1970.
You want to tell that? I mean, I'm not people. You told it last year, but you want to end the show with that? You want to tell them that final story?
Well, we played Newburyport in 1970. I was a quarterback. I threw a touchdown pass to make it 28-12, and the guys in the huddle were all saying on the X. And there was a woman who sat in this window on the second floor behind the goalpost, up on the hill, and they said, "Go for the window! Go for the window!" And I must take an extra step. I kicked straight on with a square toe, and it went, and it was dead solid perfect. And she saw that I could see her eyes, and she got up and ran away right through the window, smash. You could hear it echoing throughout the stadium. And then the frame fell out from the second floor. And everybody in the team was laughing. They were high-fiving. And I felt so bad. On the bus ride home, I was just like, oh, I feel so guilty about this. I wrote Coach Stalin a letter. I said, would you please take us to this woman and apologize to her for me? And he said, certainly, Mike. So when he got out of the car in 2015, I said, do you still have the letter? I still have it, and I'll never forget that ball going through the window. So sorry, Newburyport. but they've all made me feel very welcome up there ever since.
Yes, quickly forgiven. That is too funny. I always remember you saying you wrote him a letter, and I go, no kidding, you actually wrote him a letter.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Way
Michael,
before emails and text.
yeah. The kids are like, wait, what? We've talked about letters and VHS tapes today. They're going to be all confused, all these high school.
They have no idea what's going on.
Mike Lynch, thank you so much for the time. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and we always appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. So keep up the great work and keep supporting the local cable access. It's nothing like it. It's the lifeblood of everything. You people do a great job. Have me on anytime you want. And happy Thanksgiving to all of the good people in Newburyport.
Thank you for that. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll leave it at that. Bye-bye now.